I'm here on the Panther Car Club stand with Benson with this rather weird thing. It looks a bit like a Lotus 340R. It's actually a Panther J99. I'm losing my voice, it's been a long weekend. It's actually a Panther J99.
That's correct, yes.
What is a Panther J99?
Okay, bit of a long story, but the brainchild of Mr. Robert Yankel, who basically started the whole Panther car production back in the 70s. It's quite a long story, but to cut it short, the J99 was his brainchild at really near the end of his life. SsangYong had taken over the Panther Car Club during the 80s, and at that point in the 90s they finally wound up. 1999-2000 he bought the car Panther Mark back and then built this prototype along with some original Panther engineers, originally to be a car for the American market. So it was something that he wanted to do. It was a radical design and a very innovative design, and covers a lot of interesting features.
It's full of interesting features. It doesn't look very pedestrian friendly. What's interesting is that the entire thing seems to be aluminium. It doesn't seem to be any glass fibre or plastic mouldings anywhere.
Every panel was handcrafted aluminium by the original engineers that built most of the Panther cars. It was his prototype, really. It was classed as his unfinished symphony, and I think it was his way of getting Panther cars back onto the market. And I think the general idea would have been that he would have then built the Panther Mark back up again, but unfortunately he sadly was diagnosed with cancer in 2003 and then died in 2005.
It looks very expensive to build with hand-beaten aluminium panels. What kind of price point would this have been?
That's a question that, weirdly enough, I've been asked many times at the show. I honestly can't answer it because the amount of labour that was put in, but it was also by people that he knew. Craftsmen he would have paid, obviously, but craftsmen would have worked for him for love of the car and love of the industry. He basically bought a Lincoln Continental to use the engine. He modified the gearbox position. He put the engine transverse across the car as opposed to in line. He used Lincoln front steering rack and steering gear, but the rest of the chassis and the basic design of the car is all from his designs, his aluminium panel designs. So
what engine and running gear is it?
Right, it's a Lincoln Continental V8 4.63 supercharged Vortex supercharger. As the difference being that he had a design where he put it across the car just to drive the rear wheels. He also at the time put an automatic gearbox in, but was working on a system to lock the gearbox to create a manual option so we could actually have it switchable between manual and automatic, which again would have been fairly innovative.
So did it not see the light of day because he died?
Pretty much, yes. I mean, he got to the point, obviously, from buying the Mark back. I think we don't know for sure, but I think he must have had the basic concept and the ideas in his head. He then worked on it from when he bought the Mark back for the next 2 or 3 years, but then with being the illness and being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, it obviously just stalled. And to be honest with you now, the family I think are keeping it more as a museum piece than as a memorial. So a man that created all these wonderful cars.
So it's still owned by the Yankel family?
It's still owned by the Yankel family, Jennifer Yankel, who is his wife, yes.
Is it a runner?
It has run, as far as I know. It has run, it has moved. It's obviously never been registered and never been driven. It hasn't run, as far as I know, for well over 10 years.